So I recently invested in some hardware, and if you have been a part of the channel, you would know that up until recently, I've been like, nah, no hardware, none. No, I don't need it. I've got Bitwig, I've got Phase Plan, I have the meta, everything that I need. Well, that's true, and that's probably true for you too if you are used to doing computer music. So why would somebody like me, who is really deep into sound design and needs the most cutting edge tools and whatever, invest in some kind of hardware, especially hardware that can't do all the things that I can do on the computer? I'm going to give it to you like very straight and try to keep this video short, but the answer is that it changes the approach to how I start my tunes. Previously, I've actually owned an MPC Live beforehand. This is my second one that I've owned because I sold it the first time, and I also recently invested in the Poly and Play. Both are great devices. I'll have a review on the Poly and Play, both of these on a different video at some point in time. But beforehand, like if it were 2018, I'd be like, how do I make everything with this? Can it do everything? Can it cook my waffles? Can this make my pancakes and my breakfast? And if the answer is no, then I don't want it. And I think that was a really unhealthy approach to what hardware is all about in the first place. So the first thing is that you have physical touch again. It could be a MIDI controller, it could be, something different, but you have to touch it. You have to have a tactile feel that gives you feedback. That could be a guitar, that could also be a piano or a regular instrument, but I think that for us, a lot of times we're interested in things that cater towards our genre, right? Because sometimes implementation of live instruments are very difficult to capture in its truest form, which is a benefit of digital instruments, because it's like what comes out is what you hear and what you get. The other thing is that these to me are not what I was thinking of from before. And while these devices are they're very unique in their own way, they both serve the same purpose as do the tools that I do up here, which is this guy. Everything that I make, every piece of music, whatever, XO included, all starts with a loop. And if you have something that you can create loops with from scratch, or maybe even not, maybe you're just using GarageBand or something, then you can allow yourself to sketch ideas without having the pressure of needing to make music to the fullest extent. There's a lot of benefits to this. Like, let's say you're too busy, you don't have the time, but you have ideas that are coming to you. Pull out your phone, pull out iMachine and go boom, boom. Okay, now you can always dish that off, toss that into your DAW later and start working on it, even if you have already forgotten the initial idea, even if you think that it sucks. Because for me, the way that I make music is by making a loop and then amalgamating the loop into something that is what I'm fitting in the moment. That does take a little bit of skill, but it doesn't matter because everything is conceived with the idea of a loop. You could go buy a sample pack that has pre-made loops. You could go buy, a preset that, just like this is a loop that I made earlier. And then you just drag that into your DAW and then you start doing stuff to it to make it fit whatever it is that you're trying to do. But this is so beneficial and this is so important for me to give to you all, especially if you're interested in hardware, but you're like maybe on the fence, because for one, you have to give yourself permission to make shitty music. That's just what it is. Having hardware will allow you to do so because you can only make music that's so good, especially if you're not used to it. The other thing is that you are pulling yourself away from the studio. This studio, whatever, you can't see it, but I'm pulling myself away from the studio and focusing on a different approach that will eventually lead back into the same road of how I make music in the first place. Now, it doesn't have to be hardware. You could, film yourself or record yourself beatboxing. You can get a couple of pencils and like jam on a mug. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that you are trying to change these approaches. You're trying to change your perspective about how music is curated without you feeling like you have to completely reconstruct your workflow. And for me, the happy place that I found with any piece of hardware, whether it be an OP1 or a Poly and Play or a Poly and Tracker, I don't own that, but it would be cool to have one, or anything else of the sort, is that I'm like, instead of being like, I have to make, super crazy tunes with this, I could just sketch with it. And then I could always pull it back into Bitwig or Ableton or whatever it is that I'm feeling in the moment. And then, like resample it and make a beat out of it. And that is how I make music regardless of how I start. So whether it be through making a loop on Bitwig or making a loop on XO, making a loop or making a few loops or whatever on the Poly and Play or in the MPC, it all leads to the same road. Now, that's not to say that you can't make hardware your centerpiece, and some people are hardware exclusive, and I can't really speak on that behalf because I'm not that kind of person, but you don't have to feel the pressure to do so, especially if you have hardware, or especially if you have like that guilt where your hardware is collecting dust. Don't get rid of it. It's super valuable. And the other thing too is that if you have something that's portable, then, you know, some people are like, you know, it's weird. It's very strange because some videos even say this of like, you're never going to make music on your couch. You know, you're never going to do that. You're never going to go to the park and make music. There is some truth to that, to where like, first of all, don't go to an unsafe place and try to make music just because you can. You know, don't go to the park at night by yourself and be like, I'm going to put headphones on and then jam out. Situational awareness is important. But if you go to a buddy's house and he's playing games and you have, you know, inspiration to work on tunes or something, like, yeah, you definitely can pull something like that out. Yeah, you can definitely pull your laptop out or whatever, but it defeats the purpose, right? I'm not saying go buy hardware. I'm saying that it can enhance your workflow and it can be as deep or as shallow as you want it to be. But understand that the core creation of most music is by sketching an idea, sketching a loop, and hardware becomes incredibly valuable because it gives you another option. It gives you another approach that is refreshing than what you're normally accustomed to. So with that being said, you know, hardware is a luxury for sure. If you have a phone, it's a luxury. If you have a laptop, it's a luxury. But if you're somebody that's been, you know, making music for 10, 15 years or whatever, I'm getting close to 10, and you've been doing the same thing over and over again, and like music is what you do, you know, don't go crazy. Don't give yourself gear requirement syndrome. But having one synth or having one, you know, groove machine or whatever could be all you need to really change your creativity. Nobody sponsored this video. If you guys want to support the channel, then you can go to alckemy.com or consider becoming a member. But other than that, this is just my personal thoughts on how, you know, and why I find hardware valuable now in this day and age. So thank you guys for listening. Let me know your thoughts and your questions if you have any. And if you want to see how I change loops into full tunes, just join the live streams or check out the master classes, because I do this almost every single day. Beat from scratch, from nothing into at least an arrangement that's, you know, at least 3 minutes long. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.